welcome to another process video. Today I'm using a collection from Basic Grey called Second City by Kelly Purkey, and the spotty piece of paper that you can see there is called Logan Square. So I'm using the whole collection from the Second City collection today, except for that one Project Life card that I'm cutting apart at the moment, and I'm not sure who that was from, as I've just collected a whole lot and pulled out some that I think would go with this kit. So sorry about that. So at the moment I'm just looking through all the different elements, and I am gathering some pieces on the page that I think might work together. So I'm using some elements from the sticker sheet, 12 by 12 sticker sheet, and die chipboard pieces, and some flair, and also some pieces from the die cut ephemera packs. So it's one whole collection. I've made a few layouts with this one, and this is the first time using the very busy pieces of paper from the collection. But in the end I like the result, so it works out well. So this photo here is a photo of me and my big brother, and he came over to visit. He lives in another state, and we had moved over here from Victoria to Western Australia about 8 years ago, and so he came over for a few weeks holiday. So it was nice to see my big brother again, because I hadn't seen him for a few years. So anyway, back to the layout. I am just putting things around where I think that they might go, and I wanted to use that little vellum number 2, but that doesn't end up being used on this layout. I couldn't quite get it to fit with any of the other elements. It didn't quite make sense that there was just a 2 there, even though I wanted it to be like the 2 of us, or us 2, but I couldn't quite get that one to work this time, so I will use that on another layout. So just having a bit of a look now, the same as I usually do, pull most of the things that I want to use out before I commit to sticking things down, so that way I can get a better idea of what I actually like and what's not working for me. So I quite liked how that was going, and when I put it all back together I don't have to have it exactly how I had it, so as long as I've got it similar, then I'm happy with that. I should actually just stop and take a photo so I can remember exactly how, but as it's all happening I forget all about that, or I can't really be bothered, so I'm being too lazy, and I'm happy just to have it near enough. So sticking all the other elements back on, and I put that card in and realised that one of the words is being covered up, so I pull that off a little bit later and adjust that. And yeah, so this is just putting it all back together now and trying to work out the final placements. So I've got those little frames there, the little just the die cut frames, so I wanted to put them in a place that would work, and I decided that I want to put them up in the top right hand corner. That place needed a little bit more clustering happening, or a bit of layering, but I couldn't quite figure out what I wanted to do, so I have put those frames up the top, and then that top area becomes a little bit bothersome for me. So I couldn't quite find anything that fitted into the squares or anything that worked for me. So at the moment I've grabbed one of the stickers from the sticker sheet, and I'm adding the little triangle pattern across there. That brings a little bit of colour and detail up to that top right corner, and there I go fiddling with that number 2, and it doesn't really go with the smile badge. Even though I wanted it to work, it wouldn't this time. So it's trying to find something that I can add to that top corner, and that didn't really work. Okay, I like the idea of that, super cool. So it was cool to see my brother after a long time, and I'm just going to grab a piece of wax paper so I can stick that to it and remove it easily enough. But when I try to put it on, there's a little bit of trapped space just underneath where the cool is. So between the grey piece of paper and where the cool starts, there's a little bit of space that I couldn't quite figure out how to get rid of, but in the end I did, and I just stuck the flare on top, so that covered it up enough that it wasn't a bother to me anymore. So having a look on the chipboard, seeing if there's any other little elements I can add, and I found that little yellow tab, and that gave a little bit more dimension to the page. So this has got a few flat pieces and a few pieces with dimension, so I quite like that instead of having all flat elements. So I think this is where I'm going to fiddle with that section up the top. No, I'm deciding that I'm not quite sure what to do with the top, so if all else fails, just go to sticking things down. So putting that part on, and later on I realised that I've stuck it crooked, and I tried to pull it up and straighten it, but it was well and truly stuck, so I just moved the photo a little bit and made it look like it was straight by adjusting the photo. So that little arrow there is from the die cut pack, and I just put a little bit of foam tape underneath that. And that little thing I'm sticking now, it was one of the stickers from the die cut section, and when I pulled the sticker back off, I pulled the stickery part right off, so it had no stickiness on it, and then when I tried to stick the double-sided tape to it, it wouldn't stick to it, so I ended up using just some wet glue that I had on hand, so just a bit of Tombow aqua glue, and stuck it that way. So here I am committing and putting the last elements down, and have grabbed those leaf. One's a die cut and one's an acetate piece, and here I go looking there. You can see that little bit of space that I'm not liking, and if I pull that down a little bit, it gets in the way of the border that I put there, so it needs to stay where it is, but just trying to find a solution to that area. So I grab a couple of little leaves and little bits and pieces from the die, from the sticker sheet, but they don't quite work, so I end up putting them elsewhere on the layout and adding to some of those other clusters and finding something else for that area. So looking through my little container there, and I found that was a little chipboard piece that I'd cut in half to use on another layout, but there was nothing else brown going on in this layout, so that looked just a little bit odd. So there I go, I've just grabbed that flare and stuck that down, and that hid the little piece of just the little blank space, the trapped space. So still trying to fiddle and find something else to put in that spot. Put that leaf there for now, but it's not going to stay. I tuck that over there to the left with the other elements, and I end up putting a flare in that top right section. So just got the little camera flare there. It's a little bit smaller than the one that says smile, so it worked well. Excuse me. Okay. So just tuck the little circle element under the cluster to the left, top left. Grabbed the little arrow to add a little bit more orange underneath that today chipboard piece. And I'm sticking that leaf down, the acetate leaf, with a little bit of glossy accents. So just unclogging the bottle, because they love to get clogged up, and it was really clogged, so I've unstuck that and popping that in there and grabbing my ink and finishing up. So I will show you some close-ups now and a few stills. So thank you for joining me today, and thank you so much for all of your lovely comments that you leave, and thank you for your likes and for subscribing. So I really appreciate you visiting and spending time with me, and I hope you've enjoyed the layout. Okay, see you next time. Bye.